President has an unparalleled record on gay rights. This, of course, came after yesterday's constant questioning at the press briefing.
He, as you know, said that his views on this were evolving. His personal views on this were evolving. I would simply say that his views are evolving, which his views have not changed. I don't have an update for you. I don't have an update to provide you. I have no update to give you on them. The Vice President expressed his personal views. He also said he was evolving.
He did not say that, Jay.
He did.
No, the spokesperson said that afterwards.
I don't have an update to provide you on the president's position. It is what it was.
And this morning on the Daily Rundown, Democratic Governor Bev Perdue appeared to have the same stance as President Obama and would not commit to outright supporting same-sex marriage.
Do you understand the awkwardness of basically saying you're against banning gay marriage, but not for it? And that's where the president is. It sounds like that's where you are. It's a head scratcher to a lot of people watching this debate over the last 48 hours.
Chuck, let me just be very direct. Y'all can continue to scratch your head for another 48 hours. It's very important to me that the folks in North Carolina who have not cast their ballot understand that this constitutional amendment takes away a lot of civil liberties.
And the News Nation political panel joins me now. Michael Smerconish, nationally syndicated radio talk show host and MSNBC contributor. Also, Steve Deace, nationally syndicated radio talk show host. And we're waiting for the Reverend William Barber. He is the president of the NAACP in North Carolina. And gentlemen, you may have seen this video of him. He went to a news conference and really took a strong stance against the state considering this amendment. But Michael, I want to start off with what the governor said about people scratching their heads over where the president stands and even where she stands as her key state, a swing state, Michael, decides on this amendment at this hour.
You take a look at some of the data from NBC and the Wall Street Journal, and you see that the numbers are shifting. That what was a 49-41 in opposition is now completely reversed in just the last 3 years. My point is that if the president's position is evolving, he's not alone. He's got a lot of company. I happen to share the suspicion that Jake Tapper's question brought out that he's probably evolved to being supportive of same-sex relations, but if he were to say so, he would jeopardize his election in North Carolina and in Virginia, and I do think that's what this is all about.
Let's look at the numbers here, Steve, just some of them. We've broken it down in several categories, but you've got blue-collar people, if you will, up 20% when they're asked about same-sex. African-Americans up 18% regarding same-sex marriage. Hispanics, independents up 9% there. You often hear people say that time is on the side of those who fight for this issue. With that said, what's your take on North Carolina? The state, by the way, already bans or bars same-sex marriage here.
Well, this is a race I've been watching closely because the folks that I syndicate my radio show through are based in North Carolina. I've got several affiliates there, and I suspect that the amendment will pass today. And if it does pass, it will mean the issue of marriage, when it's put to a popular vote in this country, is now 32-0. It has never lost. It has won in Oregon. It has won in Maine. Those are hardly conservative states. 32-0. I cannot think of a single issue that is 32-0. We can't probably get 32 states to agree today, whether it's mostly sunny or partly cloudy. Yet this issue, every time it's held to a popular referendum, wins, and I believe it will win again today.
So why the silence, for example, from Mitt Romney? You had Reince Priebus on with Andrea Mitchell yesterday. He says that this basically puts the president's question of his credibility here and that he will not take a definitive stand, according to some. Andrea pushed back, saying, hey, listen, that's the same problem Mitt Romney has. People like you, Steve, you're a conservative, believe that Romney does not take a solid stand in the line anywhere, including in quicksand.
Well, Mitt Romney already has taken a position on this issue. He took it as governor of Massachusetts. He had a decision to make when the court tried to intervene there and demand the legislature act on their opinion. And when the legislature did not, Mitt Romney chose to act on the court opinion rather than his own state constitution, which forbids any entity other than the legislature in Massachusetts from changing the marriage law. So, you know, Mitt Romney can sign all the pledges he wants. He can do all the dances he wants. He can borrow a phrase from the president and have all the evolving views that he wants. But when push came to shove, as governor of Massachusetts, he went on the record in favor of destroying marriage.
And so with that said, at least your argument, he doesn't have, to use your continuation here, a leg to stand on to criticize the president. Steve?
I think that's probably why he's not criticizing him, Tamron, is because he does not. I mean, it's very interesting. About the only person in America right now, or the only people in America right now trying to paint Mitt Romney as a right-wing conservative are the president and his campaign. I mean, that's kind of funny. I mean, the president's trying to make the case to Romney's base better than Romney's making it.
And to Steve's point, Michael, let's just look at some of the states who are considering some type of action, as we're seeing in North Carolina. You've got California, Maryland, Minnesota, Washington, Maine, Oregon, Ohio, New Mexico. The list goes on and on, it seems. But to Steve's point, when it's put to a vote as it is right now in North Carolina, despite the polling that shows the majority of Americans changing their view on same-sex marriage, it goes down.
Passion drives this bus. I think that's the explanation. You're looking at primary voters who are coming out today in North Carolina. We had a primary in Pennsylvania just 2-3 weeks ago where only 20% of those who were eligible came out. Who are the folks who come out in these sort of elections? Those who are most passionate. Who are the most passionate on an issue like this? They tend to be those who are in opposition. So I don't doubt the polling data when you survey America generally, and you get people now saying by slight majorities, I'm okay with this, and I think it is a growing number who are coming to that realization. But when you put it to a primary vote, you get a different outcome.
But that goes to the point of the pressure on the president. His cabinet expressed support of gay marriage, as we well know. President Clinton was recorded on some phone messages urging people to fight this amendment. The president has come out against the amendment, but you see how easily, Michael, some could label this as perhaps hypocrisy on the part of the president when you look at coming out against the amendment but not being willing to take a strong stance at this issue at this point.
Tamron, we had a conversation about 10 days ago when the NRA was meeting and people were trying to sell a bill of goods that Obama would come for your weapons and your bullets in the second term. And I said that was ridiculous, that if the guy had some evil intention, he would do it right now. He doesn't know if he's getting a second term. On this issue, I feel differently. On this issue, I do believe, and it's just a gut instinct, that he stands with same-sex couples and that for political purposes feels that he just can't do so, or he would cut loose a couple of states, including Virginia and North Carolina. And it's not just Southern white Democrats who are looking at this. You know, within the African-American community, the numbers that I have seen show some strong opposition to recognition of same-sex couples. I'm on the air right now, and my affiliate in Charlotte, North Carolina, they're telling me that the churches, the black churches, are the ones most organizing in opposition
here are the numbers that
to same-sex marriage.
These are the numbers. African-American views on gay marriage. In 2009, 32% favor, 53% oppose. March 2012, look at the numbers. 50% favor, 41% oppose. So I don't want to counter too hard because I didn't talk to the people that you and Steve spoke with, but these are the numbers nationally. We also, let me bring in a gentleman, Reverend William Barber. He is an African-American. He's the president of the North Carolina branch of the NAACP. Reverend, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much,
I want to quickly,
thank you for this conversation.
Absolutely. Hang on, though. I want to quickly play a little bit of this news conference that you held and what you had to say as you were trying to fight this amendment in your state. Let me play it.
Do you believe that a majority by popular vote should get to decide the rights of a minority? That's a dangerous precedent because that means that the rights of people are determined by who's in the majority at a particular time. Do you want to vote on an amendment that makes the only domestic union between a man and a woman, thereby undermining the rights of other couples and possibly the rights of children and the rights of those who may be victims of domestic violence? Do you believe, especially in the South, with all of our ugly history, in the South, where if we had had to vote on the laws that protect us today in the South, and some of them, we probably put them up for a popular vote today. If we put the Voting Rights Act up for a vote today in the South, we put the Civil Rights Act of '64 up for a vote today in the South, we put the Fair Housing Law up for a vote today in the South, it would probably be deleted. And you believe in the South? We ought to be putting people's rights up for a popular vote?
So, Reverend, let me get you in here because you hear a lot of people say the president is worried about losing the conservative African-American churchgoers in states like yours. You don't speak for all black people, but let me get your thoughts on when you hear people make that counter argument.
Well, thank you, Tamara. You know, we have just a slight bit of technical difficulty, but I can hear you well. Let me just say there's this added element that we need to discuss in this, and that is part of what has happened is we've been duped by the right to ask the wrong question. Same-sex marriage is already legal in North Carolina. When you ask people, what you feel about same-sex marriage, you are asking a religious question that should not be a constitutional issue because we have the freedom from and the freedom of religion. What we have found is when you connect the dots and you show people who's behind this, Family Research Council that's been listed as a hate group, when you connect the dots with the same people that sued to overturn the Voting Rights Act in our state, that are trying to pass voter ID to suppress the vote, that cut $1.6 billion from public education, that block workers' rights, that cut almost $2 billion from Medicare, and have not addressed the issues like extreme poverty. 1.2 million people living in North Carolina living below poverty are the same people that sponsored this bill and have put up people's constitutional right for a popular vote. You get a very different answer. In fact, you may get people who say, I'm against same-sex marriage, and this is what we found, but I'm not for voting on people's rights. I'm not for a states' rights agenda to trump the 14th Amendment.
But, Reverend, I guess my question, absolutely it is, but my question is, President Obama won North Carolina by 13,602 votes. The question is, do you believe African-American voters will abandon this president if he strongly came out in support of same-sex marriage?
No, I don't. And the fact of the matter is, what you fact seeing is that in this particular area we're talking about on this vote, the more we have educated people on who's behind it, what it does, why the National Organization on Marriage, by their own admission, said that they are doing this simply to split certain Democratic allies. When we talk about how it would hurt heterosexual couples, the more people get educated, the poll numbers have actually dropped because the more people get educated, they see how bad this is. It's bad constitutionally, it's bad public policy, it's bad law, and it's bad kind of politics because it's the politics of division. When you don't have an overwhelming vision that draws people to your politics, then the only way you can win is to create division. The fact is, we have 125 organizations working in coalition since 2006, 120 branches of NAACP, and people are pushing more now than ever before. And sometimes, even in our national discussions and others, we have missed that. And part of the problem is we ask the wrong question. The question is not so much what African Americans will do, but what will North Carolinians do? Will we go backwards? We've not decreased people's constitutional rights since before slavery. After slavery, after the Civil War, every constitutional amendment except the one to disallow interracial marriages were to expand constitutional rights. So we've got to have a different conversation. And when you have that different conversation and ask the right questions, you get a very different answer on these matters.
Reverend William Barber, thank you so much. We'll see what happens in your state. As we mentioned right now, that vote is going down. Michael Smirkana, Steve Deace, thank you both as well.